Just try to be precise with it.
Out of all you fighters I see getting on, doing the mid work or the pad work, whatever you want to call it, I see y'all doing all this.
Gervonta Davis is clearly upset after watching Jake Paul train alongside Floyd Mayweather Jr. before the big fight. Floyd says real boxing is built on hard work, strong conditioning, discipline, and proving who can handle the most pressure in the ring. He explains that boxing is more than flashy moves because true fighters are tested by how far they can push themselves during training. His comments quickly create tension, as Davis feels ignored while Floyd openly praises Jake Paul for taking training seriously and stepping into the sport with commitment.
I just like to push myself to be the best at whatever I do. It could be basketball, football. My dad introduced me to boxing in 1977, and I just took it to the next level. I love boxing, I love competing, and I love being the best. It was good with the fight camp so people can compete with one another, push each other, and it's fun. People want to see who hit the hardest, who's the fastest, who could throw the most punches, so it's a great product. It's about just competing and working hard, getting in shape, and enjoying yourself while you're doing it.
Paulie Malignaggi believes the story behind Gervonta Davis and Floyd Mayweather Jr. goes much deeper than their current issues. He says that no matter how much tension exists between them now, Floyd had a major impact on Tank's rise in boxing. According to Malignaggi, Floyd helped improve Tank's skills, taught him discipline, and built the strong foundation that helped turn him into a top-level fighter. Even if Tank tries to minimize Floyd's role today, Malignaggi feels the years spent learning under Mayweather played a huge part in shaping the boxer he is now.
He was a flashy guy, and I actually liked that win for Gervonta.
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, a lot of fluff again, because he's a YouTuber who's never accomplished anything else besides being a YouTuber. Though there is talent there, it's unfulfilled and untapped talent, and the loss to Rolly Romero tells you that. So what has Gervonta Davis created, aside from being a manufactured creation that got a big push from Floyd Mayweather? Let's be honest here. A big push from Floyd Mayweather. And then after that, let's match him very carefully, because what do? We wanted to do the same thing with Adrian Broner, who had the balls to fight everybody. Say what you will about Adrian Broner, had the balls to fight everybody. Didn't duck a single fight. And they said, you know what? We wanted to do this with Adrian Broner. We wanted to just manufacture a star before he was made into a star. And we kind of messed up by matching him too tough. So the pendulum swung in the complete opposite direction here. It's not like you balanced it out. You went in the complete opposite direction and made this guy fight absolutely nobody constantly. And let me tell you something about the Lamont Roach fight. He's a 16-1 underdog going into the fight because they knew they didn't want to fight anybody who was a risk. There's a reason he's ducking the Lamont Roach rematch now. Because now you realize, wow, this guy is a threat.
Jeff Mayweather believes the biggest issue in a possible fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul is the major size difference between them. He explains that boxing uses weight classes for a reason, and this matchup would ignore that completely. Tank has dominated smaller divisions with his speed, timing, and knockout power at his natural weight, while Jake Paul has been fighting at cruiserweight against much larger opponents. Jeff says the physical gap between the two fighters could affect both the fairness and competitiveness of the fight, making it a difficult matchup to take seriously.
It's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank, and I mean, but with it being a exhibition, it makes sense. It's fine. He got a big name that he's going to be fighting, but I mean, it really makes no sense because he's gonna be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's gonna probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight is happening.
Eddie Hearn shared a similar view about a possible fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, saying the matchup mixes real boxing with entertainment in a way that could hurt the sport's credibility. He believes the fight is driven more by fame, business, and social media attention than by true competition inside the ring. Hearn pointed to the obvious size difference between the two fighters and argued that it takes away the fairness expected in professional boxing. While he admitted the event would attract huge worldwide attention, massive pay-per-view numbers, and major revenue, he also said it raises concerns when financial gain becomes more important than genuine sporting value. Even so, Hearn acknowledged that from a business standpoint, the fight would still be a major success with non-stop headlines and strong ticket sales.
Next year, and they always said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then. But I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. Now, whether you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime, then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua fight.
Michael Bisping brought a different angle to the discussion about a possible fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul by pointing to past exhibition matches where entertainment and money seem to matter more than pure boxing skill. Bisping believes Jake Paul could realistically beat Davis, not because he is the better fighter technically, but because of his clear size advantage and the business side surrounding exhibition events. He explained that these types of fights often operate differently from official championship bouts, with fewer competitive expectations and more focus on creating a major spectacle. According to Bisping, Jake's bigger physique and the relaxed nature of exhibition rules could give him an edge in the ring.
You know what? Fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up, because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that of course he's going to win. And of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Jake Paul is taking on, you've seen it by now, Gervonta Tank Davis. A man that is a lightweight in boxing. Now, lightweight in MMA is 155 pounds. Lightweight in boxing, 135 pounds. Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds.
Official weight, 227.2 pounds.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The host of the Wade Concept described Jake Paul as someone who knows exactly how to create attention, pressure opponents, and turn big moments into business opportunities. He claimed Jake managed to pull Gervonta Davis toward this potential fight by showing off his wealth, building non-stop hype, and making the money involved too tempting to ignore. According to the host, Jake's strongest skills are not just in boxing, but in promotion, marketing, and getting inside people's heads. He believes Jake used his fame and financial power to push Davis into considering a fight that may not be the best competitive matchup, but could deliver an enormous payday.
So and again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. But this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewer that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. He's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
The undefeated lightweight champion of the world.
With a record of 30-0, 28 knockouts.
And this one is over.
The brick
He's been
hand.
boxing since he was 5 years old and turned pro when he was 18.
Gervonta Davis at 22 becomes the youngest champion in boxing.
And guess what?
Ryan Garcia gave a harsh opinion on the possible fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, calling it nothing more than a publicity stunt driven by money. Garcia believes Davis agreed to the matchup mainly because of the huge payday involved rather than for boxing greatness or legacy. He argued that real fighters focus on championships, respected opponents, and building their place in history, not taking fights that seem designed for entertainment and profit. Garcia also suggested that facing a much larger opponent takes away from the competitive fairness of the sport. While his comments clearly carry some personal rivalry with Tank, they also reflect the wider criticism that the fight is more about business and attention than proving who is truly the better boxer.
News that last week shook up the boxing game, Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it. Yeah. How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro.
Yeah, why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Sean Porter believes Jake Paul continues to attract big-name opponents mainly because of the money involved, not because fighters truly respect him as a boxer. Porter explained that Jake offers huge financial opportunities, which is why experienced fighters are willing to step into the ring with him. However, he also said that respect in boxing comes from skill, legacy, and beating meaningful opponents over time, something many traditional boxing fans still feel Jake has not fully earned. According to Porter, Jake's fame and entertainment value are undeniable, but his place in the sport remains controversial. He sees the possible fight with Gervonta Davis as another major event built around business, attention, and big paydays rather than the type of competition that creates legendary boxing careers.
I like when it's all said and done and when you guys go off, they go into the next man. So if y'all can make a big payday, go get that payday. The sport of boxing don't love you. That's the problem with this sport. It's like what Jake Paul did, man, it's crazy, but people getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So if he can call any one of y'all out and y'all can get that payday, I say go get it, baby. I'm not mad at it.
For me, and I'm not mad at this move at all for Tank Davis, but I think when it comes to boxing fans, there's an essence that comes with this sport, and it's an essence that hasn't been lost, unlike other sports. For an example, with football, we come from the hitting days.
Yeah.
Can't hit nowadays. You know what I mean? So boxing hasn't lost its essence. You know, they're trying to make it safer and all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore. But it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like, they're talking like I don't know the official. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that.
Teddy Atlas analyzed the potential fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul by breaking it down from a technical point of view. He said Davis is clearly the more skilled fighter, with far greater experience, stronger competition history, and proven championship success, while Jake's boxing record is still relatively limited. At the same time, Atlas warned that size differences matter a lot in boxing. He explained that skill can close many gaps, but when one fighter is much bigger, it becomes dangerous because the larger opponent can take more damage and hit harder. While he respects Davis's abilities, he stressed that the physical mismatch adds serious risk and makes the fight unpredictable, highlighting the ongoing debate between skill versus size in this matchup.
Right? Who's not a professional fighter. What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have to bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that, but I don't care.
He ended the video by saying he doesn't care much about the outcome and wrapped things up by telling viewers that this is all for today's video, asking them to stay tuned for the next update.